shortchanged. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And any more public comment? All right.
Good afternoon. My name is David Weissman with the Alliance for Nuclear Responsibility, and I would like to follow on briefly, if I may, with the comments earlier of Ms. Becker. President Peavy mentioned earlier today, presciently, the words of Gwen Moore. And indeed, I had actually come prepared, if I might, for 1 minute to read the comments of Ms. Moore as she sat in the seat before this committee a quarter of a century ago, deliberating the exact same issue, the seismic studies and the costs of Diablo Canyon.
Well, we're not deliberating that issue today, but I understand.
This was
I got it.
her comments, in other words, when she sat there. And if I just have one moment, I would like to read her words. Ms. Moore said that day, "Would it not seem logical that as the agency that's overseeing development or establishment of a plant, you'd require an EIR, which would have some geologic studies and information?" And Mr. Ed O'Neill, who was representing the Division of Ratepayer Advocates that day, said, "That's a good question. The environmental impact requirements actually post-date the Diablo Canyon project, so they didn't have to do one. They were required to do geologic studies in order to get a certificate from the Public Utilities Commission. The thing is, we relied, just like the NRC, on the information PG&E gave us. We relied on their representation that the area was of low seismicity and that there were no significant faults. And I guess it turned out that that was incorrect." And Ms. Moore said, "But wait, we're not talking here about little minute management. We're talking about the very foundation on which this plant, a nuclear plant, was to be built. And you don't need a huge staff to do that. I mean, I have a real concern from the beginning, and I'm interested in the role the PUC has played with this." And Mr. O'Neill said, "Well, yeah, but I think it's important to remember here the primary responsibility was PG&E's to design, build, and operate that plant safely." And Ms. Moore concludes, "I'm not eliminating that. But again, one of the reasons we have state agencies or regulatory agencies are because we don't necessarily believe that those people that they're regulating are going to do all the things they're supposed to do just because they're obligated. And of course, you know, we have them for oversight and jurisdiction of those authorities, and we look to those state agencies, and that's because they have that power and the mission and that duty." And just, again, because President Peavy had mentioned Ms. Moore, I just thought I would share those comments today. Thank you.
Seeing no more testimony from the public, and I think we've pretty much had a great dialogue with both Division of Ratepayer Advocates and the PUC Commissioner, Mr.
I'm sorry. I just wanted to make a correction, if I may.
Please come forward.
You had asked me a question, maybe I misunderstood, about the foundation, where the money came from. Was it for the foundation you were asking for? I have no reason to believe that's ratepayer money. I thought you were talking about the programs that were paid for energy efficiency and whatnot. So I just wanted to make sure that I got the correction on the record.
I appreciate that correction. Again, I just want to thank all those who participated in today's hearing. Again, it was an annual review of the Public Utilities Commission that's required to come before this legislative body and this committee, the Utilities and Commerce, and give us an update of the year past. And we could probably be here for another 2 hours and still not touch upon all the issues under the purview of the Public Utilities Commission and the challenges they have. And to that extent, I give them a great effort, commend them for the great effort that they're doing on an annual basis to regulate multifaceted, jurisdictions as it relates to the various utilities, be it water, electric, telecommunications, rail, you name it. They're responsible for that. I also want to thank the Division of Ratepayer Advocacy for your job in looking at ratepayer protection and consumer protection. I also want to thank my colleagues who were here and due to various other hearings that are going on, he had to leave, but Vice Chair Fletcher, Ms. Maw, Mr. Knight, Mr. Swanson, Mr. Hernandez, Mr. Valadeo, Mr. Fuentes, Mr. Huffman, Ms. Buchanan, and Mr. Guerrero, who has stayed here with us and listened to all your comments, as well as Assemblyman Fong. I want to thank them as well for their participation today. And as we saw, it's probably one common theme that we've heard today, and it's a need of greater oversight, greater enforcement, a more timely process by not only the utilities but PUC and getting that information to the PUC so they can do their job. And also a little bit more transparency as it relates to what consumers are paying for and what they're actually getting. And that's vital as we move forward. So I think it also begs for greater public participation as well. And as we continue to look at this whole industry as it relates to public utilities. And President Peavy made the alluded to the fact of the carrot versus stick. I'm walking away thinking it's more carrots right now that are being handed out by the PUC than the stick. And not to say that anyone should be punished, but there clearly needs to be a balance. There needs to be a consequences of not completing those tasks and that are you're charged with. And in many instances, it seems like there's no consequences for a lack of those actions. So again, this was a hearing. I think it was very informative for me. I know from my colleagues as well. And in closing, Mr. Gurrell, if you have any comments, I would afford you this opportunity at this time.
No, I do. I would concur that a number of extremely important decisions issues were raised today that each would be entitled their own hearings, but I those and because we didn't address them doesn't mean that they aren't going to be addressed, but that but this was a very specific overview informational hearing just on the year in review, and I think it was very helpful and very educational. And so thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. And on that note, that will conclude the oversight review of the California Public Utilities Commission and Division of Ratepayer Advocates year of 2010-2011 activities. Thank you for all for your participation.